Welcome to DonorFarm. Today we're going to talk about home-based events, an idea of something that comes to us quite often from people who are just trying to help us raise money in their circles. And it very rarely works. And I want to tell you a story about a guy named Will to explain a little bit about why. Will was on the board of a local nonprofit organization in a very prestigious community, had a great home. He was a surgeon, so he was in a great group of people. And he came to us and he said, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to invite a bunch of my friends over to my home. We'll have a nice dinner. You can come in and explain all about the campaign and the reasons why they should give. And they're great people and they'll be excited about the cause. And I bet they'll give a lot of money that night. We have learned through the years that home-based fundraising events almost never work. But we agreed to do it with Will, and here's why.
We agreed to do it with Will for three basic reasons. One, he had the big house in the exclusive part of town.
Great house.
Beautiful house. So we knew that people might want to go to it. Two, he wanted to invite his friends. He wanted to help expand the donor base. He was excited about the campaign and he wanted to invite his friends and his circle to go to it. And three, as part of his contribution to the organization and the campaign, he wanted to pay for it all and cover the cost of the catering, the details of running the event. So it seemed, in his idea and to the organization, like a simple, easy, no-brainer event.
Think about how difficult it would be, though, if he wasn't doing those three things. If we had to invite people into his home and if we had to figure out how to get the catering in there and set up the room in the middle of his house and all that, it'd be very uncomfortable. Him doing those things made a huge difference. But we got to the house that night, and it was a gorgeous home. I remember walking in, and beautiful living room that opened up into this great pool area. It was screened in, just a high-end, gorgeous place. Anybody would be delighted to spend the evening. And before his friends came in there that night, he took us aside and said, hey, I've been thinking about this, and we got all these people coming in tonight, and what I'd like to do is do the presentation the way you're planning to, but at the end of it, let's not ask them for money, because these are my friends coming into my house, and I just don't feel comfortable about asking them for money. They're all wealthy people who know about giving. They know what to do. We don't have to tell them to give, so we'll just, as they leave at the end of the night, we'll give them each a response card. They can take it home and figure it out from there, because I don't want to ask them for money. So do you know how much money we actually raised that night? We raised nothing, zero. Nobody gave that night. We didn't even ask them to. They took the cards home. Nobody sent a card in because so often people don't even do that. So the entire evening financially that could have been great was just a huge bust.
Right. So there are three reasons we don't recommend home-based events. One, the host usually gets cold feet. We see it all the time. It happens all the time, even if it's their idea. Two, the venue, the house actually itself, even if it's a huge, beautiful house, is most often not a great spot. Think about a house and holding 30 or 50 people in it.
Hard to make a presentation.
Yeah, you were standing in the hallway sort of looking at both of them. And three, it's not that much simpler. In this Will's case, he did want to pay for the catering and pick the caterer and do a lot of the detail work, but if you're doing it, it's even more complicated than if you were at a venue where they knew what they were doing. You have to work with somebody's kitchen, and you have to find a caterer who's willing to come in and all the
going and
details.
Kind of taking over somebody's home is very, very awkward at
Yeah.
best. So when someone comes to us and says, hey, I have a great idea, let's do a fundraising event in my home, I have a great home, great friends, it'll be perfect. We know that it won't be perfect, and so we don't maybe just come out and say no, but we redirect them to something that we know that will work. Let's book a room at the country club. Let's go to this great restaurant where everybody's going to be delighted, and we'll have a nice meal in a nice place and a great setup. And then people will come, you can invite your friends, we'll do our presentation, and we know that it will be productive, which is actually what everybody wants at the end of the day anyhow, right? Yeah. So that's a great tip from DonorFarm. Keep coming back to DonorFarm. We'll tell you more about all kinds of things so that you can be productive in your fundraising events, your donor relationships, and building the funding that you need to carry out your organization's work.